So sake, as we mentioned earlier, has been produced in Japan for 2,000 years. The country has quite a diverse landscape in spite of just being a couple of islands, truly. So the north, you have Hokkaido, you have colder winters, really ideal for snowboarding and skiing, but definitely bringing a little imprint that's different in their style. Then you start leading into Niigata, which is a beautiful part of the world, and it has a high collection of brewers, very soft water, very well-defined styles of strains of rice and yeast. And then you head into like Fukushima on one side, Toshigi. You start seeing different prefectural differences. You head into the south where you have Hiroshima and even the island of Kyushu, which is, although not highest concentration of brewing sake, there's more of a shochu-driven culture. You will find some kind of layer, more richer styles of sake production. Now, let's break the word sake, because the word sake in Japan means alcohol. So if you get to Japan for your first time and you get to the bar and sit down and say, "I'll take some sake," the bartender will look at you and say, "What?" They're like, sake could be whiskey, could be a beer, could be anything that contains alcohol. So very important, if you go to Japan, as a reference, sake is called Nihonshu. Nihon means Japanese and shu means alcohol. So this beverage, as we know in the outside world as sake, it's actually Nihonshu. So that leads us to actually one of the most important questions about sake per se. So let's say other beverages in the world like champagne, prosecco, are protected. So you cannot go to Brazil and make champagne, simply because that is protected for that zone. So sake, how come you can? Well, basically it's because the word sake was never protected in Japan, because it means any alcohol. So as we know it in the outside world, you can go and make sake as it's been done in Mexico, in Denmark, in the UK, in Spain, in France, Germany, and very importantly, the US. We have 21 sake breweries in the US as it stands right now, and growing. Last week, I visited one of the smallest ones here in Oakland. Amazing delivery. But basically, they can call it sake. There's no difference to it. And something I love about the Japanese culture, instead of being like, wait, all these people are making sake outside of here, they're actually celebrating. This year was one of the biggest celebrations for outside sake production in Tokyo proper, and the response was incredible by the locals, by the government. They're celebrating something that stemmed out of Japan and done with passion. A lot of the rice strains, that's very important in Japan. Obviously, it's a smaller country, so you can't really export rice and things like that. Even in my applications in restaurants with sushi, you find sources outside. So luckily, in California and the US, we're very lucky with the Delta near Sacramento that produces outstanding strains of rice, some actual sake varieties. Arkansas has a small population of agricultural sake growing that's outstanding. And it basically supplies a big part of the world in sake rice. Places or countries like Italy are doing an amazing job making sake out of arboreal rice or Italian strains, which is fascinating. And it's an ever-growing thing, celebrating what it is, the culture, the methods, and the styles that make this beverage so unique. If you are as intrigued as we are about this beverage, Sake 101 Part 2 will lead into breweries, events in Japan, get you more in depth with the culture, and just parts you always wanted to know about. So please keep enjoying this beverage. Cheers.